Go ahead and put my flour in here. Now, when you're making a roux, you want to keep stirring this continuously or it'll burn. If it burns, then you just got to start all over. There's no fixing it.
Now, Terry, doesn't that mean that you have to get your beer before you make your roux? So you got your beer handy while you're stirring, right?
Yes, ma'am. Or have your kids trained.
Okay. Right?
We have these wonderful folks back here helping out when they're not busy doing Denise's stuff. They kind of help me a little bit. I'm going to move it back over here on the fire. Notice how this this flour is foaming. And what we're doing here with this roux is we're toasting the flour like you toast a piece of bread. And the darker you want your sauce, the darker you make the roux. Yes, sir? You have a question? Oh, okay. And so there's different stages for roux depending on what kind of stuff you're cooking. And we don't want to make our green chili too dark. So we're going to make a blonde roux out of this. So what that means is we don't get it quite as dark as you would for like a gumbo roux or something like that.
Are you saying you prefer blonde, Terry? I'm offended.
In this, yeah. Don't tell my wife; she's brunette too. But we're gonna toast this flour, stir the roux. And as you can see, those bubbles have started to calm down a little bit here. And as soon as it quits foaming all together, it is a blonde roux. Now I've got a wooden spoon here that has a flat edge. And that's what you want to do this with, because you want to stir the bottom and let the top take care of itself. Now that it has, see how the foam is kind of subsided? There's still a little bit of foam in here, but it's kind of subsided a little bit here. Now we're going to add our onions, and we're going to saute these onions right in the roux. And this isn't something that is typically traditional in the Upper Rio Grande version of green chili. This is something that Cajuns do, but I have incorporated it into my deal here. And we live in Texas, which is the confluence of Cajun, Mexican, cowboy, Southern, soul food, barbecue, Vietnamese. We got it all right here in Fort Worth, Texas, and I'm not afraid to use any of it.
Terry just soaks it all in.
And we're gonna saute these onions in this roux.
Smells mighty fine.
Thank you. You know, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to it, just that way.
Oh, did I tell you the booby trap gets you?
Yes, ma'am.
For Denise, what kind of cheese did you put on?
Oh, we put a little sprinkle of feta cheese on there. It has a little bit of saltiness and just a little bit of creaminess on there as well. So.
You know, you mentioned the salt on the watermelon.
Yeah.
When I grew up, and I go to my grandma's house and they pull a watermelon out of it, or cantaloupe, or any kind of melon out of the garden, it was eaten with salt and pepper.
Oh, and pepper.
And black pepper.
Wow.
They cut the watermelon in half, and everybody would sit around like buzzards on a gut wagon, salt and a spoon, you know, and you'd have to let grandma eat the heart, and then you got the seeds, and then they tell you that the seeds don't sprout out your ears and all that kind of stuff.
I wasn't the only one heard that. I thought for sure I had watermelon. I was going to be like 12 before it ever made it out of my mouth, and I was convinced it was watermelon vine growing. You know, watermelon vine growing in the stomach there somewhere.
But yeah, we ate salt and pepper on cantaloupe and watermelon. And it was always a treat to go to Grandma's house because, you know, we'd eat out of her garden in the summertime, and she'd take yellow squash, okra, potatoes, what am I leaving out here? Onions, okra, and she'd cornmeal it and fry it all together, and then she'd have a pot of black-eyed peas and cornmeal that she made in a skillet and then browned the crust like a big giant hush puppy, and green onions and cayenne peppers right off. And then during you're done with the meal before you realize there wasn't any meat. You didn't need it. Big old slices of tomato, you know.
Didn't miss it.
You didn't have to use your imagination when you bit into the tomato, you know. It tasted like tomatoes.
You know, it's so different from my store of eating at my grandma's house. Because I really remember eating at my grandma's house, and she'd be cooking up a big batch on the stovetop. And she'd have a nice little piece of meat in a pot, boiling it away. We'd have some boiled meat and some stovetop. So my mom learned everything she knew about cooking from my grandma. So we ate out a whole lot, and I joked that I did learn to cook as a survival skill.
Now that my onions are clarified a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and put the garlic in. And this garlic is minced pretty fine, so we don't want to overcook it. It's going to cook real fast. Garlic burns, and it gives the whole.
It's a goner.
It's a goner. I'm going to put my chilies in, just get them heated up. Now, these chilies have been fire roasted here. They sell them right out front on the weekends. Y'all got those roasters going, right?
Oh yeah, and that is the coolest way. I don't know how many of you have gotten your daily dosage of hacked peppers yet downstairs. They'll really have them roasted for you. It's wonderful. And if you enjoy hacked peppers, buy extra and shove them in your freezer in Ziploc bags. You'll have them year round. It's wonderful. And I mean, these roasters do such a good job. They have such an intense flame. You get that really dark, roasted, toasted flavor on there. They're awesome. It's really hard to do at home. I mean, I roast my peppers straight on my little gas stovetop. It's usually the way I can get the closest to the flame. And yeah, I find that's a really good way, but it doesn't do it justice like it does to big roasters. They just keep rolling them around. They're awesome like that.
So I've just added my water. And if you want to make this a little richer, you can certainly add chicken stock if you want to. But we're just going to let this kind of simmer here. And you don't, just like gravy or any other sauce, you don't want it to boil. You know, if you let it boil, you've got a chance of probably going to break the sauce, which means that's when it gets all nasty and separates, and the grease is on the top, and everybody's going to check off the no way everything.
Just like Grandma's gravy, in my opinion. That's what it looked like every time, Terry. That's what I thought gravy was supposed to be for a long time. What gravy stovetop, too.
But, yeah, you get your Hatch chilies here. They roast them for you right out front. JR and some of the guys, and JR from Wine and Beer, and some of the guys from the produce department, they get together and they go out there. And they Tom Sawyer me into doing it last year with them, and I almost had to get backed out of here. First day I showed up to do it, I was dressed like this. The second day I showed up to do it, I was wearing a tea-back and a bikini top. It was hot.
That Terry?
It was hot or you were hot?
Well, I had my Angora tea-back on. But it was hot. I really had to come up here to get in the air conditioning and take it easy for me. I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat down on this. And continue to let it cook here.
I hope I get to your anything too.
I'm going to add a little cumin. You don't want to, like in Mexican food, a lot of people like to use a lot of cumin. This new Mexican style food, you don't want to overpower it with the cumin so much.
Ain't no you Mexican from no Mexican.
You look like a new Mexican to me. Well, I'll tell you what, you don't ever want to tell an old Mexican they're an old Mexican if they have a knife.